Hey, I'm glad you made it across from the other video. Let's get straight into this one. We've dealt with how to write an introduction. Let's deal with how to write your body. The body paragraphs need to be structured around these 5 things. You have your point, which is your topic sentence. It tells the marker, it signals to the marker, it signposts for the marker that your paragraph is going to be on one of the points of content mentioned in your intro. Surrogacy laws, same-sex, divorce. Elaboration gives you scope to then elaborate on that point slightly, provide a bit more detail, lead the marker into your point a bit further. Example, you then provide a piece of law or a specific example of the changes in divorce law, of the changes in surrogacy law. You then explain that example. What does that example that you've used tell us about the way that the law has changed? Has it been an improvement or not? And then finally you link it, and that's where you relate it back to your question. You're saying that based on the criteria, this has been effective for this reason and this reason. Okay, we're going to now flick across back to our essay, and I'm going to show you an example of how this paragraph could be written. Okay, so here we have the introduction from the other video. So we need to start off. Our very first paragraph is going to be on same-sex relationships, because that was the first thing we mentioned in our intro. So we need a point to tell the marker that. Here it is. Same-sex couples have historically been discriminated against by the legal system. We're just telling the marker, here, this paragraph is on the same-sex couples. I mentioned it above, and here I am. I'm now talking about it in this paragraph here. This paragraph will be on that. But this isn't sufficient, particularly given the fact that sometimes you have to make big statements. Here we've said that they've been historically discriminated against. That's a big statement. You can't just leave that hanging. We need space to elaborate on what we mean. So we hit an elaboration sentence or sentences. So discrimination is often informed by religious convictions or strong views about male and female gender roles. Much of the discrimination in law has been based on a legal bias towards nuclear families. However, in recent times there's been a trend towards a greater recognition of same-sex relationships. Simply, you are elaborating on that point about the discrimination, elaborating on what the paragraph's going to be about. So we've got P. We've got our first E, and next E is example, and here it is. Previous pieces of legislation would define terms such as parent, family, husband and wife in such a way that excluded same-sex partners. In 2008, the federal government passed the Same-Sex Relationship Equal Treatment Commonwealth, blah, 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 which amended 84 pieces of legislation. That's my example of the way that some of the law has changed. Now that's good, but I need to explain why that's significant. I need to draw the connection for the mark about why this particular amendment is important. So I'm going to explain that example. Through these amendments, same-sex couples are now able to access family health insurance policies and collect compensation for partners killed while fighting for the Australian Army. Okay, very straightforward. Now, because we've studied hard, and we're intelligent students, we're not just going to provide one example, because we really want to get the top band. So in that case, we're going to hit the marker with another example. So we're adding another E. We keep adding the example, explain, example, explain, example, explain, until we've covered off a few examples. So in this example, I'll move very quickly. Another legal reform has been the Marriage Amendment Act 2004, which echoed the definition of marriage established in Hyde and Woodmansey, which is a union between a man and a woman. Here we are, we've got statute in, and now we have common law in, and you'll know from previous videos you need statute, common law, and media study, and international law if you can get it in, if you're going to get a top band response. So here we got 2 of them in. Also notice any law I'm underlining to bring the marker's attention. Now if in the exam you have a highlighter, give it a quick highlight. Just draw your marker's attention to the content, and then they can focus on the way you're constructing your argument, but they know the content's in there. Okay, so that's the example, and we now obviously need to explain that example. I'll just very quickly throw that in there, because I think you've got what I'm talking about. I'll have the essay posted below, so you can read this at your own leisure, but here I am explaining that example. Now I have one more example. I'll quickly throw that in for you, and I'll put that in with the explain as well. So here's my example again. However, with amendments to the Property Relationships Act, same-sex couples have been granted status as de facto. I've explained why that's important. It means that it gives them access to family disputes and matters relating to spousal maintenance can be heard in the family court. Okay, so I've got my point, I've got my elaboration, I've got a whole bunch of examples, and I explain those examples. Okay, only one more thing I need to do, and I need to link it back to the question. So finish off the peel. So here it is. Bang. Okay, so I'm linking back to the question. These reforms have been responsive. That was our criteria from our introduction to society's expectation as a community becomes more tolerant of same-sex couples. The law has also delivered greater recognition. Furthermore, it satisfies the rule of law. That was our second criteria, as ensures that all family members, regardless of sexual orientation, are treated the same. Blah blah blah. Okay, so we've said it has been effective. It has been improvement because based on these two criteria, we've improved on what previously was there. Okay. For our next paragraph, I'm going to put the whole paragraph up for you, and you're going to pause it and you're going to read it at your own leisure. And you're going to see how the peel structure has been employed here. I'm going to have to zoom out. I hope you can see that. So this is all on divorce law. There's elaboration, and then we link it back to the question there. So have a look at that. Pause it, have a good read. Okay, let's move on to the last part of this video. The third paragraph was on surrogacy laws. Now, I'm going to print that paragraph or put that paragraph in here, but I'm not going to put in the point, elaboration, example, explain. You need to find that on your own. So pause the video here and see if you can go through and see where the point paragraph is, see where the explain is, see where the examples are, see where the linking is, see if you can identify that. So give it a pause and a read. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've done that, just so you can, so I can drive that point home for you. You can check to see how well you did, because here is the paragraph broken apart with those things put in there. I'm sorry that's going across 2 pages. I'm going to fix that. I'll drop that down for you. Sorry about this, mucking around. Click it in. Okay, now were you correct? Did you identify the surrogacy laws, the points correctly? Did you identify the elaboration? Blah blah blah. Check that. Pause that. Check that. Okay. Okay, just to recap, your body paragraphs need to be made up of a point, an elaboration, an example, explain that example, and you link back to the question. I hope that's nice and clear. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated the video, give it a thumbs down. And please subscribe to the channel, because I'll be updating a lot more videos before the HSC to make sure that you can get the best results you possibly can.